Okay, so we will look at in little more detail, not complete detail, of the standards. One of the requirements of AACSB is all the faculty should be aware of the different standards. Okay. So although we don't go into great detail, but at least hopefully by the end of this presentation you'll know enough. Standard 1, Mission, Impact and Innovation. Under the broad category of strategic management and innovation, Standard 1 is about mission, impact and innovation. Are we sure that it's okay? Recording was all right? Okay, thank you. So you must have a mission statement. It should be distinctive statement of main purposes, goals, priorities, focus areas and core values. And I have not mentioned here, but generally AACSB wants to know how the mission statement is arrived at. Are the stakeholders consulted? Some documentation is important. And of course, the ultimate authority may be the governing council or the vice chancellor or whoever it is that is there, but that all should be recorded in the sense approved by so-and-so or the governing council. And this was discussed among the faculty and maybe students, to some extent alumni and so on. But faculty is important in a sense. AACSB places a lot of emphasis on so-called collegiality and faculty participation. It also recognizes the faculty are not going to be the ultimate authority in terms of saying this is the one, but ultimate authority may be the governing council or maybe the vice chancellor and so on. But inputs taken from the stakeholders. Okay, impact is about expected outcomes, what you expect. These are high-level statements, not detailed. Sure.
So can we revise our mission statement?
Yeah. They expect you to revise as you go along. In fact, if you said you have revised, they'll be happy that in times. If you say, I got this mission statement 10 years ago, I haven't done anything further on that, they'll be worried actually. Revisions, they expect revisions, yes.
So we can start with one and maybe during the 5-year timeline, at least once we can.
Yeah, but see, once you have started, and because you have to be careful in the sense you started with some mission and so on, right. During the process of your application, if you stated now you are a different mission, you'll have a problem.
Yeah.
So,
I think ideally is to have it for the next one.
Okay, so but we can start with saying we can say that we have not changed it from the past. No, this is.
No, or you can say this was the past, I've changed it now, this is our new mission and so on. And so go forward from there. Don't change it during the process of your application and so on, during the process of getting the... In extreme cases, you may change and do it, but not advisable, I'm saying. So, impact, expected outcomes. See, nowadays it has become more in a community impact you have and so on. So, you have to... They give some guidelines. I'm not getting into such details. What you can write and so on. AACSB documents are much more detailed and so on, what can be written as impact and so on. And you have to have a strategy, how the school intends to achieve its mission and expected outcomes, so that will be part of your strategic plan. And what are the resource requirements and financing strategy? This is important because sometimes you may have a high sounding mission statement, but if you don't have enough financial resources, they'll say, you can't achieve that and so on. Okay. Standard 2 is intellectual contributions, impact and alignment with mission. Deepak, you want to, those tables you want to get? Or let me just one. See, scholarship, intellectual contribution, they say theory, practice and or teaching. And what is scholarship? This could be discipline-based, application-based, teaching and learning and so on. Impact is what is the difference you have made is concerned with advancement due to intellectual contribution. What the impact is they made, what is the difference? It may be in the community, maybe in the business, or maybe in the academic environment also. And of course, they would like innovation, they are encouraging innovation. There are 2 tables which give the summary of intellectual contributions which you have to fill out and so on. No, I think. Okay. Standard 2 is important for these intellectual contributions. So this is a summary you have to give. Some details also have to be given. One other thing they are always concerned is, you might say a school has published a lot of papers. They'll ask you how many faculty you have done. Proportion of faculty you have contributed becomes important. Not just few people contributing a lot is not enough. Okay, that is important. Okay, financial strategies, whether you have realistic financial strategies to sustain and improve quality of business education, adequate resources for infrastructure, sufficient resources for student support. If you have, you have some professional staff helping the students, or student support maybe in terms of placements and so on, whether you have adequate resources to do that. Technology support also is important. Faculty intellectual contributions, you say we want faculty to publish, but you don't provide any support even to attend conferences, for instance. Those are all important factors. So, what are the resources you have, but also what you are planning to get in future. Standard 4 onwards is about participants, students, faculty, and professional staff are the participants. So admission of students is where it becomes student admissions, progression, career development. So they will look at details of admissions. What is your admission process? Whom have you admitted? If you say one thing in the process but they find something else, then they'll catch you.
Do they do an audit kind of?
Audit, yeah.
Yes.
They do.
They go through files and
It depends upon the period of time. We got, as I told you, ISB got caught in. We had maintained we don't look at applications, we don't admit anybody below 600 GMAT score. But some 3-4 years back, they look at last 5 years. Okay, so 3-4 years back, we had admitted some 2 students, 580 were admitted. So, and unfortunately for us, those 2 were also at the bottom of the CGPA. If they were at the top, we could have made a see. If below 600 also, they've done well, but they were at the bottom. So they said, what are you doing? So we said that was before this part. So the audit, see, you don't know what audit they will do. If they suspect something, they will do. Especially if you...
have to have records of the past 5 years. Diversity.
Sorry?
Diversity of the students.
Diversity, yeah. Diversity is important, but see, AACSB is flexible in your definition of diversity in the sense. So some are not very flexible. I'll tell you, like Equus, for instance, they will say you need international students. But when I was talking to them, I said, in Europe, you go 20 miles, you'll be in a different country, and you will say, you get students from that, you'll say, I have a diversity, I have students from international. I said, each state in India, you must consider as different, and if you get students from all over the country or from different states, there should be enough diversity and so on. But they won't accept. They said, only we'll go by passport only and so on. But AACSB is not like that. So diversity, if you say you are getting students from all over, then diversity may be in terms of gender, maybe in terms of educational background, in terms of geographical spread and so on. So if by any chance you have it in your vision statement saying that you want to have diverse set of students, then you will have to show that you are getting.
We are in a worse thing. I'm sure we have screened all over all statements that we want to be global. So now it will come back to haunt us, show us the passports, and that's where it will be.
But we can always tell the progression in the policy. For example, maybe 5 years back, my cutoff was less than what it is today. So maybe for example, if I pick up a record 2013-14 admission, it may be a 50 percentile CAT, and now it is at least 60. So
Now, what you make a case is, while it is 5 years, okay, from the time of, actually the 5 years from the peer review team comes. Suppose now you have made a policy, okay, you can always say that you changed the policy on this date, but you must have records of that. You can't simply say I changed and so on. You must have a record that actually some meeting or who made that decision and so on. Records are very important for AACSB. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Sufficient, in this standard, they look at sufficient faculty resources and professional staff for delivery of high quality programs, support for research and other mission related activities. See, it's one thing to say this is what you want and you don't give enough support, they don't like it, obviously. That means you cannot really achieve what you are saying. So, division of labor across faculty and professional staff. In the high quality program, suppose in one program is only taught by visiting faculty or professional staff, then you will be in trouble. Okay? So, they have to be across all your programs and so on. And there are certain percentages and so on. So, what are the policies, procedures for feedback mechanisms and so on? And if you had any problems in the past or any corrective actions you have taken, that would be useful. This is important, faculty sufficiency and deployment. This is where you define participating faculty and supporting faculty. This is left to the institute actually, to some extent. They give you guidelines, what is acceptable and so on. I have not given all the guidelines, but the detailed statements are there. So participating faculty means you are actively and deeply engaged in all activities. Okay? Doesn't have to be all, in many activities. Besides teaching, it's not just teaching. You say, I am committed, I will teach, and that's it. No. You are involved in some committees, research, advising, participate in non-class activities. You may be full-time, you could be part-time. You may be visiting also. In some sense, they are considered as a long-term member, even if you are on a contract for that time. So this is where flexibility comes, as I mentioned earlier. ISB, we said if you are visiting faculty, you have taught in the last 3 years out of 5, you have showed some continuous commitment to come, and so you are more like a participating faculty. Supporting faculty is somebody who just comes and teaches and goes off, doesn't participate. So what you have to do, the more participating faculty you have, it's better in terms of them. So even if somebody is coming and teaching and so on, you have to put them in committees, maybe they can help you in placements and so on, and you have to think, so somebody from the company is coming, so you could help in placements, or somebody may be coming, you could help in admissions or something like that and so on. Some committees. Okay?
So we are saying 100%, if it is 100% is participation, is it good or bad?
It's good. It's good.
We are pretty close to that. Yeah. So we are rarely for a couple of elective schools, so less than 1% of the total.
Yeah.
That every
Yeah. You should not have a problem with that. Typically.
Very few are supporting participate. Yes.
If you are close to 100, it's good.
Yeah, almost.
Okay. Participating faculty, this is where the ratios come in, are expected to deliver at least 75% of the school's teaching measured in credit hours or contact hours. This is the overall school level, and then the discipline level also. You can't, program level, sorry. So if you have only supporting faculty teaching in the BBA, I'm just saying for example, or in one program, that's not acceptable.
Discipline is each program.
Sorry?
Each discipline means each program, right?
In each discipline can be, also means actually finance, marketing and so on. Overall 60, but 60%.
Where they would be doing 40% of the teaching in other schools you're saying?
No, they're saying at least 60%.
That's what I'm saying. So what would be the other 40%? For us, like
No. The participating faculty should be at least, I mean, they can be doing 100%, but what it means, supporting faculty cannot do more than 40%. So suppose you say finance, I get only people from outside and they do the teaching only there. I don't, any of my full-time faculty don't do that.
60%. Yeah. Mostly.
Wording is not correct or what?
No, it's perfectly fine. Now I got it. My mind is turning.
Okay. So if you have only participating faculty, you have no problems. Mostly participating faculty, you will not have a problem.
That's no, yeah, so against,
Except you have to be careful that you don't, in one particular program, you don't only deploy only the supporting faculty, because that's is a degree program, I don't care. And so.
3 or 4 faculty doing as adjunct professors.
Sorry, 4 adjunct.
As adjunct, yeah, 4
Ah.
members.
Yeah, that will be less than 10% of your thing, so it should not be a problem. The only thing you want to make sure is only those 4 people are teaching in some one particular program. Only 4 of them teach, doing all the teaching, then in one program or in one discipline. For instance, you say, in this program, all finance is taught only by these adjunct faculty, then you will have a problem. Which you don't, I'm sure. I'm just giving this as an extreme case to understand that. Okay, faculty management and support. So our faculty responsibilities, what are the performance expectations? All these you have to make it clear to the faculty. This is where it's important. Sometimes people don't, and if they talk to, when the peer review team comes and they talk to faculty, they say, I don't know what the faculty norms are and so on. If 1 or 2 faculty say they are so sure, any institution, they know some faculty will say something. But if a large number start saying that, then you'll have a problem. Okay? The AACSB also knows the problems in institutions. So if 1 or 2 faculty say something, they don't take it at face value, in the sense of something negative, let's say. They know that there will always be some negative comments and so on. But if a large number of faculty say that, then you'll have a problem. Okay? And of course, they may just randomly pick faculty or randomly suggest, I would love to talk to and so on. Yeah, they are sure that the school will always put forth faculty who will support and so on. So they may randomly pick. And the other thing sometimes they do is, see, usually students and so on, you will pick the students for them to meet. When the peer, you're talking about when the peer review team comes. So suddenly what they can do is, especially at lunchtime, if they're going for lunch, they see some students, they'll just go and call him and talk to the student and so on. Because if there are no students to talk to other than those, then okay, they can't do that. But if there are students around, they'll just randomly talk to people and so on. Basically, they want to get the feel how the students and faculty feel. But with the profession, they know also that if it's just 1 or 2, it may not be everybody, because they know in any institution there will always be some people like that. But if they find 1 or 2 talk, they may just tell the school, okay, some people are like that, you better think about it. They may not be negative, but at least. But if they talk to a lot of people and quite a few people say in that, then there will be a problem. Okay. Whether you have guidance, mentoring of faculty, performance evaluation for promotion, all these are spelled out and so on. Basically, I think you have lots of documents and so on, but faculty should be aware of this. Okay. Why I'm saying faculty should be aware is they will invariably meet some faculty. Many faculty say, we don't know what the school's policies are at all in terms of promotion or in terms of support and so on, then you'll say, you could have problems with the peer review. This all comes when the peer review team comes.
So Laknath and Brajesh is going to very soon devise quizzes for the faculty to take and answer online.
No, it means that in our EO office, we should have a file documenting which puts in all the
Yes.
policies.
Yeah.
It can, like in ISO, you have to do
Yeah.
it, and you can make the changes and put it on top of it.
You must always have, whether it is.
Today we have everything online, so, but we need to physically also see sometimes.
Not necessarily physically, but online, but you should be able to access quickly. What is it?
Repository, resource portal or something.
Yeah, portal. And put it up there, so if they want to see something, say for instance, they want to know about your admission policies.
It's already, a lot of policies are driven by the university. So in university folder, all policies and all forms are there. And that's a public. So you can go and you can log in by your ID and you can can see whatever you want to see.
So you can and you will are two different things. Right? You can do lots of things, but you are not going to. So they want to make it.
Then the quiz is
And then the quiz is going to
So
happen.
quiz is
No,
important.
with the, no, what he's saying, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
If some policies are centrally designed, like if it is coming from JGU HR or JGU centric, which is not directly controlled by JGBS, will that be a problem? Because there can be some points where we don't have any control over because it's coming from a top down rather than we as a school discussing it.
Yeah, no, the question they would want to know is, okay, if this is from the central, what inputs did you have? Did you have any inputs? If not, why not? And who decided on these policies? How does it impact you? Does it impact you negatively? If you think it impacted negatively, did you represent the university? Those kinds of things they will ask.
So if
No, they realize that some policies will be university like that. They will be applicable. But as long as it is applicable and no issues, that's okay. But if you say this is going to negatively affect you, this policy, then you should have had a dialogue with the university. And still, they may not agree with you and so on, but at least if you can show evidence of that you have talked to the university, but not this policy that was said. But record is important. Okay. Overall faculty resource plan, for policies for faculty scholarship and clear and consistent and so on. Evaluation performance systems should include the intellectual contribution. They are particular about that. You can't say faculty evaluation, I'll just ignore your intellectual contributions. Okay? That would be very negative as far as AACSB is concerned. Only teaching I look at, not about that. Professional staff sufficiency and deployment. Professional staff will include like research assistants, teaching assistants, research assistants and things like that. All those who are not not faculty labeled as could be even typically it will be some research assistants, sometimes it will be PhD students also.
So we have 5 people, 4 people, 4 non-teaching people for 900 students and 50 plus faculty members. Is that sufficient? Is that not sufficient?
So for the executive office.
Yes.
It's a question, but what do those 4 do?
It's not only about the executive office, but also about the OCAs, the alumni officer.
Rest included.
Huh?
Rest is not included, your second point.
So for student admissions, yeah.
What if
That's a
they are
different-
Placement and careers are separate. Do you have something?
Yeah. So we have
So you have that career alumni relations.
Officers can
So
count.
they can be counted. Yeah.
Oh.
and shared resources can be counted. Shared resources.
admission, placement, career, revising, alumni admission, publication, fundraising.
Fundraising.
Yeah, these are all.
Yeah, you don't necessarily, they don't necessarily have to be within the school. The university contact it could be outside.
So many.
So support for intellectual contributions. So that is if you have funds available, that's fine. You faculty are allowed to, I guess. Sorry.
So we have other things, sports, counselors, medical facilities, everything, that way we are well staffed.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we don't have to count
So
just
those
the
could be
JGBS
part of the
students.
second one. Yeah. Medical and all that. So they are also concerned a little bit about development of professional staff, but some of them you don't have control over in terms of the centralized one, I suppose. I don't know who does the evaluation for them in terms of their increments and promotions and so on, but I presume you are not concerned with it. As long as you're not concerned, it's okay. Otherwise you have to say what policies you have, whether you're communicating those policies to them. Stand at the university level.
It's university level policies are there.
Some support zone may be located outside the school, last point. curriculum management and assurance. This is important, assurance of learning. So you must have learning goals for each program. That's why I was asking, remember morning I was asking whether you have learning goals for your IBM and your MBA. Are they different or what? It's BBA. What is the difference between those learning goals? So it becomes important. If you say same learning goals, you could have a problem.
So can we justify this, for example, if we say that these goals becomes my general learning goals, like for example, let's say problem solving, for example. It becomes my
General means for all programs.
Right, all programs, right. And then I say the proficiency at problem solving varies across program.
Okay.
So can it be
Then you have to say at what level for each.
Yes,
Then you have to specify the level.
yes, yeah. So because as far as what I have said, we have goals similar across programs.
No, you can have similar goals, but proficiency.
Yeah, proficiency is different. So maybe we can
Level.
go with the same structure, similar goals, but what we need to probably add and document more is on the, either change the goals for different program, different goals, or bring in the proficiency thing.
There are two ways you can do. One, what you are saying is general goal. Or even within that, within each program, you can specify what that goal is with the level. And so on.
And this will be coming from your JGBS
Mission
Mission statement.
That's it.
Yeah, be consistent.
Similar size we have done it for the MAC, so I believe even for the 3 programs, we have written, we need
Let's just go through one.
Yeah,
Go through it.
So, of course, your curriculum should be designed to achieve learning goals. Learning goals are program learning goals, not each course learning goals. Okay.
And
So-
then, just to interrupt you, sir, sorry for that. So do we have to map these program learning goals to the course learning goals? That's because not all courses
No.
will be leading to.
Yeah, you have to map in the sense, you have to show that students achieve the learning expectation.
Right.
So which courses will.
Yeah, which course is.
Which course, and it may not be entire course, it may be only
Right.
some part of that course.
Some part of it. So
So
that
you-
needs again to be documented, written in the course manual or something like that. So
You have to document in terms of each learning goal, where are you going to measure?
Right.
Because you have to measure these learning goals.
Right.
And say there's some flexibility, a percentage of students expected to achieve learning goal. Whether it should be 90%, 95%, they don't specify. You have to say, my standards are about 90% at least to learn that. Now, of course, they'll come back and what do you do with the other 10%? So we provide them some support or something like you can say. But if it is instead of 90%, if only 80% is achieved, then they'll ask you what is so-called closing the gaps. What have you done, changes you have brought in to the program so that at least 90% will satisfy. Program content or delivery of each programs and so on. That's why. So you have to have rubrics of measurement of learning in each course. It could be some parts of course. Percentage of students expected to achieve learning goal you have to specify. If do not achieve the learning goal, what steps do you take to close the gap? So this is important. Assurance of learning is a big thing.
So generally in a business school, sir, this last piece, which is closing the loop, is generally lies with the placement or the student, or is it ends at learning only, not at the impact level? Because the impact for business, learning impact would be where it is placed.
See, you're talking about closing the gap?
So we have to use that data to.
No, I didn't understand it.
So for example, if I have to assure that this case, we have to closing that.
Closing
assurance
the
of learning
loop is
goal.
in terms of they don't achieve a learning goal.
Right, so achievement of learning goals is simply scoring on that rubrics, or is it
Scoring on the
also-
rubrics and what percentage, So what do you, how do you decide whether they have achieved or not in different?
No, that is one. For example, if I relate impact and
No, it has
learning.
nothing to do with impact, it's only learning goals.
Okay.
Yeah. So learning goals, whether they are achieved or not. So you say, okay, for instance, you could do it separately, measure the learning goals, but typically I would not because I know one institution they try to separate, students don't take it seriously. It's not part of the course, they don't bother about it. So there's a issue problems come. What you can do is work, you must have a committee which looks into assurance. That's not the overall AACSB committee, but a separate committee. This would actually be a standing committee in the sense that it will be a continuous process, assurance of learning. So you will say, we will measure this learning goal in these courses. What are the measurements you do and so on. So some 80%, say pass fail, let us say. Kind of thing. Suppose 80% are pass, but you want 90% to achieve pass. Or it could be a 5-point scale or whatever it is, and say, I want 80% to be at least more than 3 points, or 3 or above. But suppose that doesn't happen. Then what do? You have to see what is the reason, which course are they doing poorly, or what has happened, and what is the change you bring about in the company. That is called the closing. Okay. Ideally, of course, you say and you can show also the result. As a result of that, 80% has gone to 90%, then you have closed it. Sometimes you may not have that much time before the peer review team comes, or when the team comes, you might have the results. So, but typically, if you have closed the gap, this is good. Sometimes at least you must show you have evidence that you are trying to close the gap by changing it. Preferable that you have closed the gap in the sense instead of 80, 90% now are getting satisfaction. It's nothing to do with the impact part. This is all related to the learning. Okay? Okay, curriculum management, of course, is processes for design development. Standard 8. Standard 9 is the content for each program. It's not the same as learning goals. Content could be much more, learning goals could be something specific. Okay. So content areas would typically be different for bachelor's, master's, and PhD. Incidentally, for PhD programs also you must have learning goals. Okay.
So I think the area coordinators have to pay special attention to this. You need to be the nodal points to make sure that all our course manuals begin to reflect this, broken up, clearly identified. This section is dealing with theories, this section is dealing with something like that.
ISB, of course, it's been there for long. Nowadays, there are, for each course itself, they'll say, what are the learning goals?
Yeah.
And this course.
Listing of learning goals. We already have that. We have that. Yeah. But in this, in the curricular content, right? So, I think at some point, I don't know if that's a good idea, but the course manual could at least identify that this part is.
Now, you have learning goals for this program?
Yes.
Yeah.
Program.
Yes.
Each program has learning.
Yeah.
Even courses.
And if on the courses actually.
Course different. Course learning goal could be different.
Different.
Program learning goals.
We have
And what I'm saying is, each course nowadays, earlier they were not, now and ISB and many schools do that. Each course, they'll say which program learning goals does this course address.
We also map it like this manual is mentioned.
With the program goals, they're not doing the program goals. They just put, we have learning outcomes, and then the idea should be that how the learning outcomes is actually mapped to the overall program goals. So
Program goals. It's very important to the program, talking about program goals. Typically what we do is some learning objectives for this course and so on, but that's not.
We have that learning objectives.
Learning objectives for the course, most of them time we have, that is not done. What I'm talking about is, you must first of all, of course, you must have learning goals for the program. This course is part of that program. So does this course, which are the learning goals, program learning goals does this course address? So if it is included in your course outline itself, it makes it easier. Then of course somebody has to measure. You can ask the faculty to measure, or if there's a assurance learning committee or something, they may see you cannot ask the faculty to specially address, give this questionnaire or something to the student. The faculty will not like, and additional load will come. So what you should say is, look at the, suppose it's a committee that's going to do, what you should do is, okay, what are your assignments? This case study, or this case study is for this learning goal. So, okay, let's evaluate, give me the evaluations for that. So that I will use that. Or suppose I'm a member of the Students Learning Committee, or I may separately, faculty member say, oh, why don't you evaluate yourself or something. So the faculty you have to. So for each course, then you have to map which assignments or which things will measure which learning goals, and then faculty generally will do as part of their grading they will do that. But it's not part of the grading, then you have to do that, because typically faculty would not say, oh, you go ahead and do, I am not going to bother about you.
And we can use internships as well there to
Yeah.
map the learning goals.
Yeah, internships will be for some of that.
Yes. And one more thing, sir, now when we talk about curriculum management, so the curriculum rehash or so that moving structure and the content, right? So in your experience, means how often we should in a business school, what should be the ideal times then when we should revise our curriculum to say that?
See, but there is no ideal time. I always say, whenever I present best practices, I say, we fine-tune the curriculum, fine-tune every year. What is fine-tuning? As a faculty member, I may add some topics that are not there, I may remove some topics and so on. That is fine-tuning. The curriculum itself doesn't change, I fine-tune it. Few people may do it, not necessarily everybody, some people. But every, I would say 3 to 5 years, you must take a conference.
Right.
Whether you choose 3, 5, depends upon you. See, and all of this is a problem, even all accredited, I always say, your job is to teach and research. If you spend all your time only filling out these forms and so on, you have a problem. So there is a balance, right? You have to take a balance between the two. Same way, if I'm every time trying to just revise my curriculum too often, then it will be not very productive. But at the same time, you should not take always a delicate balance you require between all these things. Balance between keeping up to date and the time you have to spend and so on. So that's what you have to be careful about. Also the same thing applies in accreditation. You may want 5 different accreditation, but you have to spend a lot of time doing that. Is it worthwhile doing it as opposed to just get on one accreditation is enough and so on. That's where you have to take the call and balance. Because once more you have done one, others become incremental cost is less. It's not the same cost as the first one that you do, but still there is some cost involved. Same thing applies to if you want to be in different rankings. So again, first one is okay maybe, but their rankings will be completely different. So you might have to spend a lot of time, and whether you want all this be in the 5 different rankings or you want to say 1 or 2 are enough. So call is between taking part in those which consumes time, but your primary goal is to do teaching and research. You should not forget that. That is where some balance has to be. Okay. Student-faculty interaction. They like, AACSB likes that, the collegiality, faculty and student and faculty interact and so on. If you can demonstrate, some, not just office hours, but at other times, or the student-faculty interaction, whether they have some co-curricular activities and all those kinds of things. Degree program, educational structure and equivalence. What is the normal time to complete? These are all fairly standard. So full-time or part-time, what is the students expected to do and so on, teaching, learning, what kind of pedagogy you use and so on. Teaching effectiveness. See, most of the time, the second one is a little difficult. We hardly do that in India beyond student evaluations of teaching. But some institutions in the US do that. That is, a senior faculty member will sit in the class of somebody to see whether he may be getting good ratings, whether what he's teaching is contemporary or not. Okay? We hardly ever do that. I don't know if you do it, but I have not seen many instances of that happen. In the US, I know, they do that. Just to ensure, they may sit through the whole course, just to some random 1 or 2 sessions. Not, see, student evaluations and done will be mostly on how it is delivered and contents are delivered. Whether the contents are contemporary or old contents and so on. So nowadays, of course, students know with the internet and so on, they know a lot more than before. So they themselves may say it, but still there may be instances where some faculty member may get good ratings, but he may be teaching really nothing So to avoid that, there's another experiment that is going on in the US. I don't know what it is. It is not really applicable here. There, once you get tenure and so on, you become a full professor. There is no incentive, only the increments, right? There is no further growth. So whether people will just retire and not decide just teaching and so on. So now even teaching, whether they're doing a proper job. So some faculty sit in the class of those professors, whether they are also contemporary or not, and so on. Whether it is basically these are state-supported schools where state governments are questioning, okay, what is your evaluation of professors? You can't say, I mean, everybody should be evaluated. I can't say I'm a full professor, so I won't be evaluated. But I don't know how exactly, full professors being evaluated by other full professors, how it will come about, I'm not sure. But this is an important issue, especially in state schools.
So can special student outcomes be also part of beyond student evaluations of teaching? So if I am teaching a course and some exceptionally, the students are doing some live project with a company or have, won a contest,
Yeah.
Based out of that course, will that, is that an evaluation of
It
teaching?
would be an evaluation, especially if the company or whoever they did, they give a positive report. If they don't, then they don't know. They may be just doing something, whether it
So
is
or
done well or not. But
like a student case written, which is
Yeah,
published,
student case.
so that can be
Yeah.
considered as a outcome.
Yeah. Okay. Student academic professional engagement. The curriculum facilitates academic professional engagement. See, now they have become slightly, now they're changing their emphasis slightly, at least AACSB. They don't want only academic engagement, they want some professional engagement. Earlier it was mostly, if we had a good academic engagement, fine. Not just professional engagement, but academic. Just academic was okay, just professional was not okay. Now they are saying, need a balance. Now, what that balance they don't specify, it's up to you. And you have to justify that. So basically you want, besides formal coursework, some co-curricular activities, engage with faculty, business leaders and so on. Document outcomes, projects, papers, presentations, and those kinds of things what you talked about.
So like academic assistantship or teaching assistantship with the faculty, will that be counted as a outcome for a student?
No, it would be sort of academic engagement, but not professional engagement.
Okay, and if we are taking them to NHRDA networks and they are
Yeah.
presenting their
That would be
notes,
good. So what they want is both academic and professional. So what percentage and nothing they define, so it's for you to decide. Okay? Okay, executive education is not compulsory, but again, new standards may change. We were talking about current standards. I have a feeling they'll bring about some changes in executive education. But currently what it says is, what is executive education does not lead to a degree, but has similar educational objectives as other programs. Applicable if executive education is part of the mission strategies and education. If you say in the mission you want to do that, then it becomes part. It's applicable if 5% or more of total annual revenues are generated. Now this is not very strict. More than 5% you can say, but more than 5%, but you can apply for not including if you want to do that. But automatically you can say if it is less than 5%, you can say it is not part. Or another way, if it is less than 5%, but you want it to be included, again you have to make a case for it. As I said, these rules are not cast in stone, but they are flexible. But you have to make a case for it.
There is no executive education.
Our faculty members are involved in the training programs, which is actually organized by the JILDI, in the Institute of Leadership and Education.
I see, but that is there is not an executive program here,
It's
but
not
that is more like
It's more like a training program.
No, they are training program.
They are training program, not a degree like no.
Actually, your marketing one, which is actually business institutes, in the separate section, and these people are going and working with them to create one that's not a practice.
But they are doing it as so they are doing it as their activities. So it is whether first question will be whether it's part of the mission of the school. If it is not mission of the school, they have a certain percentage of time. They don't specify what percentage of time, but as long as you say it's only a small percentage of time that they are devoting to this other activities, but related to the mission of the university, then it's fine. If you are doing something that is not related to the mission of the university also, then you will have to make a...
It's pretty much like
But we will
public
find
service.
Yeah, public service to
You don't have to get rid of it. You don't have to get rid of it.
No, even private can be public
No, no,
service.
then you would not include that in your program, in your AACSB assessment.
It's our tagline. Private university promoting public.
Yeah. Okay? Any other questions? You have some questions?
We are talking about the new program we started, so whether it will be part of the young leadership program, whether it will be part of the education or it will be a separate program. So it will be a separate program, not a GBS.
So,
It's a certificate. Yeah,
it's not a degree program.
it's not a degree.
Okay, if executive education is included, then you have to do all this, how to enhance quality of student learning and suppose generation, then it becomes part of your, you have to justify why it is consistent with the mission.
So when we have like, let's say, non-residential or part-time or LGBT PhD, so that will be part of this, or we can, because the degree probably will be getting is a PhD. So it's a degree program. It's a degree program, so it's nothing to do with that.
Yeah, that's a degree program, that you have.
It's a degree program.
Any other question? You have a question? Okay. Standard 15 is very important. This is a tough standard. Faculty qualifications and engagement. This is where faculty will have to be categorized into one of 5 categories. Let's say what, just some overview, it's not complete, there's lots of material in AACSB documents. This just gives you an overview. So first is what is called, as I said, initial academic preparation. Basically here, whether you have a PhD or not. They look at degrees and academic preparation, but basically PhD or not. Initial professional experience. What is the level, nature, duration, and all that kind of thing. Then whether you sustain through academic engagement or professional engagement. To maintain and augment qualification, you have to remain current. You say, if I got a PhD 10 years ago, I have not done any research, that means you have not sustained your academic qualifications. Okay, that's what I am giving you the extreme examples for this. There will be lots of shades of grey in between. So academic engagement means scholarly development activities. It's not just publications. They also give some list. I have not listed. So you can go through. You are in some editorial board, or referring papers, all those kinds of things. Academic, lots of them. Actually, you have to make a list of all these different activities and see. Well, they mostly may not be necessary. Most of your faculty are within or become like a scholarly academic, but if we have lots of people who have done PhDs but not published in the last 5 years and so on, then you have to start worrying about all this. Yeah. Professional engagement is practice-oriented development activities. So this qualified faculty is stated, and AACSB is also particular that each faculty knows what his or her status is among the 4 or 5 categories. So you sustain academic or professional engagement. So there are 4 categories basically. 4 and the other is 5th. Scholarly academic. So if you had a PhD in the last 5 years, scholarly academic, you don't have to. But more than 5 years, these are basically those who have PhDs. So you have to sustain currency. For 5 years, so more than 5 years ago, you got a PhD. Now, if you want to be still scholarly academic, you go to scholarship and related activities. So what is scholarship and related activities is a long list. You have to, there are some guidelines are given. So I haven't gone into details, but that's one step.
Yeah,
So-
we have circulated amongst our faculty. All
Sorry?
for- We have circulated amongst our
Right.
faculty.
So faculty know.
Yes, but not the new ones, so we will do it again. Yeah. All the 15 standards are.
Still, we have some copies.
But the new ones also should know.
Yeah, just will be given.
Then is practicing academic. Basically, is an academic, got a PhD, but not been, but more entered, got a PhD and went into work for a company or something like that, and so on. So, so professional, initial professional is there. Now, not to sustain it, you must be doing professional engagement, meaning that you should be actively participating in, say, some HR conferences or some committees of some of these organizations. So, initial status, either you have PhD or not PhD, a PhD or professional experience. In sustaining, you have to, the last 5 years you must have done something to sustain that. That is what is important. I have not given all the details. So you can have scholarly practitioners. So practitioners, these are people who have PhD, scholarly, but they didn't, these are not the practice academic would have been typically non-PhD.
But doing the consulting and all that thing within
that. This would be those scholarly but practitioner, they went into business companies and so on. Now they have to sustain that scholarly practice. That means they must be involved with that companies and doing some work. So, and then instructional practitioner. Those who don't have PhD but continue to have involvement with industry bodies and industries.
So more than those people who have earned their degrees before 5 years come under scholarly practitioners.
Provided their currency.
Yeah, provided the currency is there.
Yeah, otherwise they will get into.
For example, they are publishing, they are doing some augmenting their learning,
They'll be
some courses,
scholarly.
attending conferences, and doing other scholarly work. So they will be scholarly practitioners, right?
There is scholarly academic. They
Yeah,
have
scholarly
PhD.
academics.
They are doing. So what you have to know is really they have gone through scholarship and related activities. Scholarship could be publications, could be referring papers, presenting papers in conference and so on. What proportion and so on is the tricky issue. You have to say. That's why I said the extreme. If somebody has published 3 papers in 5 years, you still have a problem. If somebody has done nothing, extreme cases will tell you that if they have done nothing, they cannot be that. They will have to move into scholarly practitioner, provided they are doing something in the industry and so on. If they are not doing anything, they'll go to other.
For example, in the scholarly academic category, we have those who have earned their doctorate during last 5 years.
Yeah.
Now let's take my case for example. Now I earned my doctorate in 2013, which is 6 years before. By the time we submit the application, it will be 7 or 8 years. So, and I present conference with the publication is there in the last 5 years. We do scholarly work, editorial, everything is there. So would I fall in scholarly academic or scholarly?
No, you will fall in scholarly academic. As long as the real question you have to ask is, which is, I don't have a definitive answer, is what your activities is scholarship and related activities. Does it fall under that?
Okay.
If it falls under that, there's a list and so on. Falls under that, you will sustain. If it doesn't fall under that, see, the real issue will come, some of it falls in that, some of it doesn't. So I've seen schools, they give some points for, if you have been, say, reviewer, you get 1 point. If you have been something else, you have presented papers but not published, you get some half a point or something. So, and then say, if you get more than 3 points in the last 5 years, then you will sustain it. Now, all these you have to convince the mentor that this is reasonable. Okay? But extreme cases only to illustrate, we have published in 3 papers, clearly it will be in that. In the other extreme case, you have not done anything at all, any of these activities, then you will not.
And people who have yet to get their degrees but are publishing it all will fall under other faculty? That is
No, there'll be ABDs.
ABDs.
I've not listed, about 10% of faculty can be ABDs. And they can be classified, they'll be classified as scholars. Okay, other faculty are those who cannot be classified as in any of those. Okay. So there are some percentages they look at, I'm not going into details, those are in tables 15.1 and 15.2, program wise. So you can,
And then program, like what percentage of these are in the different programs?
yeah, see, they have some strange ratios, I have never understood why those ratios. They'll say total teaching hours by scholarly academic, practicing academic, and scholarly practitioner should be more, at least so much. I don't know where they arrived at this ratio. But they're specified those.
But let's say if we have more scholarly academics, so that problem will also be solved.
Yeah, you will have very limited problems with most of your faculties.
Sir,
Except, sorry, 1%. Except, and again, choosing an extreme case, you have 100% scholarly academic. But nowadays, in the new system, they want both academic and professional engagement. So there they might ask you, so what is the professional engagement? That is where you have to be a little bit careful. Earlier, it was all academic. Now they have introduced this professional thing.
Yeah,
I'll say it's not out there. So for example, in professional we have a visiting faculty category and we have a adjunct faculty category. Now they both are industry categories. So can we include adjunct faculty also in the count or only visiting faculty? In the faculty count.
In terms of teaching, in terms of teaching,
Yeah.
in terms of
So in terms of the faculty count. For example, I have 50 full-time faculty members and I've got, let's say, 10 faculty members, out of which 6 are visiting, 4 are adjunct. So can I say my faculty count is
full-time faculty.
No, they are not full-time faculty members. Let's say I have 50 full-time faculty members. I have 6 visiting faculty members and I have 4 adjunct faculty members. So does my count become 60 or does it remain 50 plus visiting?
Yeah, count 50 plus, of course, sometimes you can use, they are spending 50% of the time and so on, and so half of each faculty and so on, like that you can do that. But typically you may not include them, they are not, unless you want them as participating faculty.
Right, so that's, for example, I think the contract for visiting is different than the contract for adjunct.
That's just gone.
Hasil is definitely full-time.
No,
He's
so what,
teaching
yeah,
full load and is not doing
yeah.
anything.
So now we have one adjunct faculty and this faculty, the nomenclature of visiting faculty has gone from JGBS. So once you go into the contract,
Even finding some of them like
so
Generally, I will call adjunct as
So here we have two categories of the faculty members, right? One is the participating faculty and another is the support faculty. So either they will come to the participating will be called full time. Those who are actually less engaged, they are supporting faculty. But we are talking about the visiting and
Okay, let me just clarify something. I am not 100% sure this classification is for your faculty. We have visiting faculty and so on. I don't think this is classification. Okay? But I'm not sure, we have to get the clarification. Whether you classify all your visiting faculty. Full-time visiting you have to, but if it is just part-time, they will be able to classify them, I'm not sure. But they will certainly have to be classified as either participating or
supporting. And as you suggested, like if you engage them in different committees, we can claim for they are participating as well because increasing the number of participating faculty would be better for us. And if we lose them for participating, then we have to do the.
then you adapt.
Okay.
Okay?
So no. Okay. This is for the participant. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I had a question. So I want some more clarity on who's a practice academic exactly. I'm not able to distinguish
Okay.
from this scholarly academic. I understand scholarly academic.
Practice
Okay.
academic.
Practice academic, the second category.
Not PhD, but
Okay, not a PhD.
No. Not doing academic
they
preparation.
are like consultants. They are PhDs, but working
PhDs.
in
They are
industry.
PhDs, but working in.
Working in industry, like most of the IO consultants.
See, okay, let me clarify. What it says academic means PhD. There you can understand.
Ah, so
Okay.
academic is PhD.
Scholarly or practice. Scholarly is continuing that, and practice means you are not continuing, you are gone into a business side. Okay? Now, practitioners, you have a practice academic and scholarly practitioners. Practice academic, you have got scholarly practitioners and instructional practitioners. So PA, SA and PA are PhDs.
SNPA PhD, okay.
PhDs, one is continuing in the research and so on, other has gone into practice academic, gone into industry.
Okay.
SP and IP are not PhDs, but doing practitioners work.
Acha. So if practice
And
academic
in
is
the
somebody,
practitioner work, you may be doing scholarly work also.
yeah.
So they are saying practitioner work is not necessarily only non-scholarly. So somebody may be doing some scholarly practitioner.
Might be publishing, yeah, despite not having a PhD.
So basically, if there's a faculty member who has a PhD but was not published or does not qualify as scholarly academic, does he automatically become practice academic?
No. If you don't do any of that also, professional engagement, then you will be in other.
Other faculty also.
Some consulting support.
बहुत rare.
So that professional engagement
Because
is to be a paid industry engagement.
not necessarily
or
paid,
something.
it doesn't have to be paid. You have to show that you have been on industry committees, you spent, contributed to. Sorry? Sorry?
If you're a board member in one of the companies,
Yeah, that's part of
you are
it,
a
but,
PhD, then can you be a practice academic?
yes, but just one board membership alone is not important. That's what I'm saying. What I said was, there's list of activities, and that's why I gave very extreme examples to illustrate. In terms of scholarly academics, that you publish 3 papers, clearly you're very present. In terms of practice academic, you have been on boards of 3-4 companies, you have been in committees of, say, FICCI or CII and all those, and so on. You have done a lot of that, and you are giving guest talks in those companies and so on. Clearly, you will be there. There's a lot of shade in between where you might have to give points and then say so and so is done enough of the practitioner's work, so qualified.
Or we hire somebody like that.
Sorry,
So you look for somebody in field.
yeah. What I said is what some of them are schools are doing. I want to know one school. They are hiring fresh PhDs. So 5 years they say good. Scholarly academic.
So now that we have asked it, if the most of the faculty members are coming to this one-day academy, that's what they find with us.
No, but there are certain ratios of all these things that people take for an MBA program. So
No.
if you-
See, scholarly academic is always included in the total. So that we have scholarly academic is.
Isn't there a minimum percentage of each that
No.
we need to
There is no minimum, except, as I said, now they have introduced there, but they want some professional engagement also. If you say scholarly, they're doing PhD, everybody is doing only publishing in papers, nothing to do with industry, we don't care about industry, then you'll be in trouble. Again, I'm giving extreme examples to illustrate the point. If you have nothing at all to do with industry, but you say you're running a business program, publishing in papers and so on, they say, no, that is not enough.
But at the same time, let's say they're doing a lot of summer internship, like interns,
Yeah, obviously you have one.
field trips and other kind of activities, so that would be part of like professional.
Yeah. Okay. So this table 15.1, 15-1 and 2 are important. There lists all this faculty. So that's it. Any questions? Any other questions?
Ready for the next presentation?
No, 6:30 of that.
We'll have
From 10 o'clock to 6:30.
Last one.
Class
we'll do it tomorrow. Tomorrow committee will be there.
Tomorrow is only the